What was the incident at your high school? There was a rumor that a girl was caught by security giving the entire basketball team head in the locker room. The rumor went that the guys pulled up their shorts and ran. And she was caught because she was on her knees and covered in evidence. I mentioned this to a female classmate sitting by me, and to my surprise, it wasn't 100% true because she was that girl. Apparently, it was only a few guys from the ball team. And she wasn't caught. We had a couple. It was rumored that a certain science teacher had taken up with one of the students, so much so that they were featured together in the cutest couple section of our yearbook that year. There was also the time when one male student jokingly held an unplugged drill to another male student's private area while, secretly, another student was plugging in the drill. Poor guy was taken to EMERD with a damaged testicle. Small towns have long memories, things that happened in the 80s. A teacher got caught, twice, having sex with a student. Once when she was a sophomore. Again the following year. Fired after the second time. Cheerleader was kicked off the squad when she was caught with 3 guys in her room at cheerleading camp. Female PE teacher ran off with a female student the year after I graduated. My cousin was busted blowing 2 guys under the bleachers during a pep rally. Whoever designed the gym made a bad error when one set of bleachers was pulled out. It gave a clear shot of the girls' locker room. Only took them 10 years to figure that one out. There was a kid who showed child pornography to a couple of his friends who were girls and minors themselves. They didn't like it and kept making jokes about him. So he went to the office and told on them for bullying. Therefore ratting on himself for showing them inappropriate pictures because that's what they were laughing at. He got expelled. Taken to court. Had to do volunteer hours and go to therapy. Then fully just dropped out of high school and never got a diploma. Me and 3 of my friends allegedly broke into the pottery classroom at our high school and stole 75 pounds of wet clay. Allegedly we used that clay to make over 200 penises and planted them all over the school. Allegedly. Someone in my secondary school had an aneurysm on the way to her next class. She collapsed in a busy stairwell. Fell down the stairs and died the next day in hospital. She was no older than 14. A couple weeks later the whole school of about 1,200 people lined the road outside as her coffin was in a horse-drawn carriage with her family following behind in vehicles. Not in high school. Because we don't have those in Germany. But the thing in my school was a sex tape between a girl in my class and a teacher of our school going around. She was 16 at that time. He was 37. I don't know how. But somehow they got filmed and the tape leaked. Suicide. Girl hung herself in one of the bathrooms. It was incredibly tragic. A friend of mine at the time was one of the last people to see her. She had apparently been in the bathroom when this girl came in and the girl just glared at her and her friends until they left. Less than half an hour after the teachers were told to keep students in the classrooms. A girl blew a few guys on our high school varsity football bus on the way home from a game. Not the biggest deal. Apparent she was videotaped. Much bigger deal. Girl turned out okay. We had uniforms, polo and skirt, and when we changed into our uniform for gym class, about 40 minutes in a girl's skirt was thrown into the toilet. The gym teacher kept us hostage for nearly 2 hours trying to find who did it. The other students turned on each other. Friends turned on friends and we never found out who did it. There was a rumor some girl masturbated with a hot dog and had to go to the ER because it broke off inside her. I have since found out this was a rumor about someone in every high school in our region. We had a Spanish teacher called Senea B. He got caught for molesting not only children but also kids with disabilities under his care. He was big in the community and also coached multiple years of Little Loge baseball. We can only speculate the things he was not caught for. Just thinking about it irks me. I sat next to him for 2 years in a row because I was considered a troubled student back then. Fuck that monster. Message me if you want his article. The dude's mugshot is priceless. You can tell. That he can tell. What's waiting for him in jail? A few things. 1. A girl and her boyfriend died trying to drive his motorcycle through a telephone pole. 2. A girl got knocked up in the senior hallway by her basketball BFF to the Team 1 sectionals. 3. One of the cheerleaders got caught by her dad at a party after the football team had run train on her when she was drunk as fuck. 4. The boys swim team skinny dipped after morning practice one day. I can say. Don't dive off a 3-meter board nude when you're not a diver. 5. Few highly religious girls ended up knocked up. One got caught by her racist mother sucking off a black dude at a party. You know. Just normal Indiana teenagers doing teenager redneck shit. One of my teachers got arrested for sleeping with underage girls. At another school we had a student versus school police officer riot and a couple police officers ended up getting beat up by some high schoolers. It was a few years before I was in high school myself. But I lived in Singapore in the 90s. So the big deal was some kid getting busted for vandalism and getting his ass caned. A JROTC kid who didn't put the orange cap on his fake rifle ran up to the front doors of the school because he was late for practice. But all the office staff saw was kid moving fast towards front door with a gun and we went lockdown really fast. One of my close friends was walking to the mall with another friend and was crossing the street. A car that was speeding ran over both of them, killing one and badly injuring the other. The one who survived is in therapy and had to learn how to walk again. We had a memorial service at our school since she died on the crosswalk connecting to the school. At the end of my senior year, a couple of the few black kids at my school threw water balloons in the cafeteria as a senior prank. The school officer went ballistic and they were charged with assault. The whole school was angry about it. One of them had just turned 18 and was getting an assault charge on his record. This was in the height of BLM protests. So tensions were even higher. There were petitions. Lots of angry Facebook posts. And of course, the most hilarious memes. Everyone was sharing memes with the officer's face photoshopped on. It was a frenzy on every social media platform. From comedy to BLM rhetoric. Apparently the judge laughed at the charges and they were dismissed. Girl put a video of a dog eating peanut butter out of her vagina on the internet. Some or all of the wrestling team taped the back door to the gym open and snuck a girl in after hers and had a gangbang. 3 things come to mind. Choir teacher slept with a student. Someone was leaving shits in the library. Accident in the weight room killed a kid. I feel like these cover the basic incident categories. Teacher fucks student. Gross. Tragic. This kid put peanut butter on his dick and his friends recording his dog licking it off of him. The whole school found out he had a micropenis and he would get barked at in the halls. Someone from my school passed out at a party and had dog shit put in her mouth. She ended up on Tosh. 0. Columbine. I was in 5th grade. But siblings and neighborhood friends were there. Even when I was there it was still the only incident. From memorials to threats to the rash amount of tourists taking pictures and trying to talk to students. Cameras everywhere that caught everything. It's still the incident and it will be 20 years ago in April. There are 2 that come to mind. 2 students were caught fucking in the bathroom at a convention center during prom by one of the teachers. A student was sending death threats on the regular to one of the teachers because she had a crush on said teacher's husband, who was also a teacher there. This guy sent a dick pic to a girl he shouldn't have. She ended up posting it to a group chat with her friends. This started a chain reaction of people sending it to everyone in the school. I vividly remember sitting in science class when everyone's phones starting going off and people losing their shit. It reached the school rugby team group chat which had coaches, female parent helpers and the vice principal. The guy left a few weeks after that. A gothic guy that was 2 grades above me said he was going to come to school the next day and shoot everyone that was on his list. I kid you not. If you said anything remotely negative to him you were told you're on the list. That night there were phone calls that said the threats were being taken very seriously. The next day, cops are everywhere. Although he didn't do anything that day. 1 week from the time he made his threats he had hung himself. My HS was a real den of iniquity with several incidents spread out over a few short years. Teacher caught banging a girl in the locker room. School nurse impregnated by a student. Teacher married a student immediately after she graduated. Students caught fucking in a hotel hot tub during a team outing. Teacher left his wife to marry the school secretary. Also a suicide and a couple of rumored incidents involving teachers and students. A senior shot a deer and fucked it when I was a freshman. Caught by a game warden. Charged with poaching. He actually stuck around our small town for about 10 years. I imagine being called deer fucker everywhere you go has to suck. A girl at ours got gang raped after drinking to the point of alcohol poisoning at her own house party. Talk about fucking crazy. Now she doesn't drink. Happily married. And became a fitness model in case anyone wondered. One day my school had Holocaust survivors come in to tell the kids their stories and whatnot. You could fill out a waiver to get out of classes for the day and rotate between the guests and listen to them. While I was in lunch, one of the old men had a heart attack in the library. I ran out of the cafeteria and saw one of the teachers doing CPR, but I could tell he was already dead. Sometimes I think about the horrors that man endured. Only to die on the shitty carpet of my shitty school's library. But at the same time he died telling the next generation his story. 3 drunk guys went to the rival high school in the middle of the night and pushed a $65,000 statue down a hill. Then took pictures and posted it on Instagram. They, obviously, got caught and weren't able to graduate. Me. I was seeing 2 teachers in different years which ended very badly. Not my story. But a friend of mine in high school had a driver's ed teacher get caught by kids jacking off at the top of the driver's ed tower. He was up there, watching all the kids drive circles in the big lot. Just jerking away. Didn't hear the kids come in. Back in 1997 to 1998 a kid who was in my class murdered another boy a few years younger. Reason he was dating his ex-girlfriend. The murderer became friends with the younger boy in hopes of gaining his trust. They got drunk together. Went out, he always played it that it was fine they were dating. When the day came he killed him, then proceeded to drag his body around through dirt roads. Where we went to school was all sticks. Farmland. etc. And finally dumped him off in a pond. The body was finally found with enough evidence to lock him away for life. Before my senior year, a couple of kids died from drunk driving and one died from Russian roulette. My senior year, the scandal was more tame and involved a column I wrote for the school paper that was sort of a satirical roast of the popular cliques. Let's just say it garnered way more attention than I ever imagined it would. It was very polarizing. I got death threats that lasted until after I was in college. The poop bandit. A few guys thought it would be hilarious to take a shit. Then smear it everywhere in the washroom, then on the walls in the hallway. For weeks there was shit you actually had to watch out for. Sometimes on the floors. But mostly confined to the worst washroom I've ever seen. As usual. Everyone else was punished while the administration failed to find the real culprit. We had to be escorted by teachers to the bathroom. When that failed for obvious reasons we simply weren't allowed to go anymore. First high school. Kid got drunk at school event. Hit on administrator's wife. Second high school. Probably does not qualify as the incident, but there was a gas leak in the cafeteria so we had an emergency evacuation for a few hours. Americans might know this one since videos was going around in San Francisco. High school girl caught and filmed having sex with dog. Middle school actually, which just makes it even worse. Last month before end of 8th grade 3 students are suddenly expelled. Come to find out that 2 guys and a girl had been discovered having sex in the science lab. This was at a Catholic middle school with class size bring about 25 people, so this was a huge deal. The girl and a guy admitted to doing it in front of the principal and this were allowed to graduate with the rest of us, but the last guy held out that they weren't doing it and thus didn't pass 8th grade. Crazy stuff for a tiny Catholic middle school. During the summer there were 4 kids from my school doing driver's ed. They ended up getting T-boned by a truck while they were riding with the instructor. The girl in front survived along with the instructor. But the 3 boys in the back died. One of them died instantly. The other died on the way to the hospital and the other made it to the hospital but was later declared brain dead. It was really sad. I'd met all the kids at least once before. The girl that was selected to be prom queen was caught holding drugs the weekend before prom. So she was removed. The girl who was the runner-up was busted having sex with a basketball player in the locker room in the middle of the week and was removed. It had come out the 3rd place girl was pregnant, so they removed her and finally ended up giving it to the 4th place girl. I went to an all-guys school. One time the janitor walked into the locker room to see one guy blowing some other dude. It turns out on threatened to beat up the other one if he didn't blow him. When the kid's mom found out, she fainted in the principal's office. At prom a girl fucked one of the teachers. He was engaged.